Okay, so you want to own a towing company. Buy a truck, hire a driver, wait for the phone to ring. Somebody's car breaks down, you show up, you hook it, you haul it, and you collect a fee. And the best part? People don't break down on a schedule. They break down at 2 a.m. in the rain on a holiday when they have no choice and no time to argue about price. It sounds like one of the most recession-proof businesses on earth. Cars will always break, always crash, always get parked where they shouldn't be. You just have to be the one holding the hook. Sounds simple. It is not simple, because the towing business hides one of the widest gaps between how it looks and how it actually works of any local business in America. Most people who buy a truck and put their name on the door are out of business inside a year. And the ones who quietly get rich doing it aren't getting rich from the thing you think they're getting rich from. The truck isn't where the money is. The truck is just the tool. The money is somewhere most new owners never even look until it's too late. So let's open the books. Before you make a single dollar, you have to survive getting in. And in towing, the price of the door depends entirely on which version of the business you're trying to run. At the bottom, there's the light-duty setup, a used pickup with a slide-in wheel lift bolted onto the back. You can get into that for the price of a decent used car. The wheel lift attachment alone runs around $13,000 on top of the truck. That's the version most people start with. It's also the version that barely counts as a business. You're not an operator yet. You're a guy with a truck and a phone. Move up a tier and you're looking at a real flatbed, the kind you picture when you hear tow truck, the one that slides the whole car up onto the bed. A new flatbed in the United States runs between $75,000 and $130,000. A wheel lift wrecker, the heavier boom and winch kind, sits between $65,000 and $115,000. And at the top of the ladder is the heavy-duty world. Rotators, the massive rotating boom recovery trucks that lift overturned semis off the highway, start around $200,000 and climb past $600,000. Some heavy recovery units cross $750,000 for a single truck. That's not a typo. One truck can cost more than a house. Here's the first thing nobody tells you. Most operators finance that truck. And the day the loan arrives is the day the payment starts, not the day you land your first job. An $80,000 truck financed over 5 years at current rates costs roughly $1,500 a month before you've hooked a single car. That payment doesn't care whether the phone rang today. Then comes the one that catches everyone: insurance. Tow truck commercial insurance is among the most brutal in the entire trucking world because you're not just insuring your truck. You're insuring every customer's vehicle the moment it's hooked to your rig. On-hook coverage, garage keeper coverage, liability. A tow operation pays on average around $8,800 per truck per year. And single truck operators routinely see anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 depending on the state and what kind of towing they do. Repossession and heavy recovery cost the most. And that number has been climbing every year, driven by the same litigation and repair cost inflation hammering the whole insurance market. So, before you tow one car, before $1 comes in, you've committed to a truck payment, an insurance premium that runs $20 to $40 a day just to keep one truck legal, and a stack of licenses. Because in most states, running non-consensual tows, police calls, private property impounds requires a separate wrecker operator's certification on top of your business license. You inherit a mountain of paperwork before you inherit a single customer. That's the cost to exist. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because the way a towing company actually makes money is far more layered than somebody pays me to move their car. Money comes into a towing company from 4 completely different doors, and they are not equal. In fact, the door that looks the busiest is often the one that pays the worst. And the door almost nobody talks about is where the real money lives. Door number 1, the cash call. This is the one everybody pictures. Your car dies. You call a tow. You pay out of pocket. The national average for a local tow runs somewhere around $110 to $325, built from 2 pieces. A base hookup fee charged the moment your wheels leave the ground, plus a per-mile rate on top. Cash calls have the best margin per job because there's no middleman. The problem is volume. You can't build a stable business waiting for random strangers to break down near you. Cash calls are the dessert. They are not the meal. Door number 2, the motor clubs. This is where most new operators run straight into a wall. Companies like AAA, Agiro, and Allstate's roadside networks dispatch a steady stream of calls to contracted tow operators. The pitch is irresistible when you're new. Guaranteed volume. Your phone actually rings. You're never sitting idle. So new owners sign up and celebrate. Here's the trap. Motor clubs pay a fixed low rate per call, often a fraction of what the same tow would earn as a cash job. Margins on motor club work hover between 10 and 15%. You're running a high-volume, thin-margin treadmill, burning fuel and truck hours for jobs that barely clear the cost of showing up. Read that again. The door that fills your schedule fastest is the one paying you the least per job. Operators who build their whole business on motor club volume are the ones who fold, busy every single day, and quietly going broke. Door number 3, the police rotation list. Now we're getting to the real money. A police rotation contract is a spot on the list a police department calls when there's an accident, a breakdown blocking a lane, or a vehicle that has to come off the road right now. These are non-consensual tows. The driver didn't choose you, the state did. And here is the number that reframes this entire business. A single police rotation contract is worth somewhere between $80,000 and $300,000 a year to a towing operation. One contract, and most operators have no idea how to even apply for one, or don't meet the response time and equipment requirements to hold it. Rotation work comes with guaranteed call flow, and it feeds the 4th door, the one that actually prints the money. Door number 4, impound and storage. Here's the part almost nobody sees coming. When you tow a car on a police call or a private property impound, that car doesn't go home. It goes to your lot, and the moment it lands on your lot, the meter starts running. Storage fees typically run around $50 a day, and in dense urban markets, they climb past $100 a day per vehicle. The car just sits there. You're not driving, not burning fuel, not paying a driver. You're charging rent on a parking space, and it compounds. Storage fees can surpass the original tow bill within a single week. If the owner never claims the car, and a surprising number don't, it goes to a lien sale, an auction, and you collect on that too. Industry operators will tell you that storage fees and lien sales can account for up to 40% of a towing company's total income. Stop and sit with that. 40% of the money in a towing business can come from cars sitting completely still. The hook gets the car onto your lot. The lot is what actually pays you. Just like a kiosk in the busiest hallway of a mall earns more per square foot than the big store on the wall. In towing, the still car in the yard out-earns the moving truck on the road. Position beats motion. The truck gets you the asset. The yard monetizes it. That's the 4-door engine. Now, here's the other side of the ledger. Because for every one of those doors, there's a cost quietly eating it from underneath. The cruelest fact of this business is that the truck costs you money, whether it moves or not. The loan payment is due on a slow week. The insurance runs on a day with 0 calls. And the moment the truck does roll, fuel comes for you. A medium-duty tow truck gets somewhere between 8 and 12 miles per gallon, and a dead mile, the distance you drive empty to reach the breakdown, pays you nothing while burning exactly the same diesel as a loaded mile. Then there's maintenance, and it's not optional. The truck is the business. When it's in the shop, you have 0 capacity, no backup, no revenue, but every fixed cost still running. Experienced operators warn against buying anything more than about 7 years old because the repair bills on a high-mileage wrecker will eat you alive. A hydraulic system, a winch, a boom. These are heavy, specialized, and expensive to fix. And here's the trap almost nobody sees until they own the place. Being busy is not the same as being profitable. This is the counterintuitive heart of the whole business. It is entirely possible to run 20 calls a day and lose money, while the operator across town runs 6 calls a day and gets rich. How? Because it's not about how many times the phone rings. It's about which door each call comes through. 20 motor club calls at a 10% margin, full of dead miles across a spread-out territory, can net you less than a handful of cash calls and impounds feeding a full storage lot. The busy operator is drowning in low-margin volume. The rich one quietly holds a rotation contract and a full yard. Call volume is a vanity number. The mix is the real number. And the operators who confuse the two are exactly the ones who work themselves into the ground and still can't figure out why the bank account never grows. There's one more structural pressure sitting on top of all of this. Regulation. Roughly 29 states regulate tow rates, but here's the catch. Most of that regulation applies only to the non-consensual tows. The police rotation and impound work, your highest value doors, are exactly the ones where the state can cap what you charge. California, Florida, Virginia, Texas all set limits on non-consensual tow and storage fees. So, your best revenue stream is also the one the government gets to put a ceiling on. Just like every regulated monopoly, the answer from the regulator is always the same. You can charge less than you'd like. To understand how this actually plays out, it helps to watch the 2 versions of this business happen to the same kind of operator, because both are everywhere, and the line between them is thinner than it looks. Picture the operator who does everything right. He starts with one financed flatbed and grinds motor club calls to keep the lights on, not for the margin, but to survive the first months. He knows that work is a bridge, not a destination. While he's grinding, he's doing the thing almost nobody does. He's applying for a police rotation spot, meeting the response time requirements, keeping his equipment and certifications clean. It takes months. Then he lands it. The rotation contract changes everything. Now his phone rings with accident recoveries and impounds, the high-value calls, and every one of those cars flows into his storage yard. The yard fills, the daily fees stack. Within a couple of years, he's got a second truck, a driver running motor club volume to stay busy, and a lot full of cars quietly paying rent every single day. That operator is pulling a real living out of a business most people think is just a guy with a hook. He built an asset. Now, picture the other operator. Same truck, same start. He signs up for every motor club he can find because he wants the phone to ring, and it does, constantly. He's busy from morning to night, but every call is a low-margin dispatch. Half of them dead miles across a territory too spread out to be efficient. He never chases the rotation contract. Too much paperwork, too slow. He never builds a storage yard so cars he tows go straight back to their owners and the meter never runs. His insurance renews higher after a fender bender. Diesel spikes over a summer, and with no way to pass the cost through, he eats it. One transmission failure, $12,000 unplanned, comes straight out of cash he doesn't have. He is working harder than the first operator, running triple the calls, and he is losing money every month. Within a year, the truck he financed is worth less than he owes on it, and he parks it for good. Same industry, same truck, opposite ending. The difference was never effort. The difference was which doors he built his business on. This is the structural truth underneath the whole business. A towing company doesn't fail because the phone stops ringing. It fails because the phone rings all day through the wrong door. And this business is changing under everyone's feet. The same pattern that hit every other unglamorous local service is now hitting towing. Private equity has noticed. Investors have figured out that a boring towing company with a police rotation contract and a full storage yard throws off stable, recession-resistant cash flow, and they're buying up regional operators and rolling them together. The mom-and-pop operator with one truck is increasingly competing against consolidated fleets with dispatch software, negotiated insurance rates, and the scale to lock up rotation contracts across a whole metro. At the same time, cars are getting more reliable. Telematics are calling for help automatically, and repossession volume rises and falls with the economy. The demand isn't going away. Cars will always break and always get parked where they shouldn't. But the operators who win the next decade are the ones who understand this was never a driving business. It's a contracts and real estate business wearing a tow truck as a costume. So, does owning a towing company actually work as a business? The honest answer is that the gap between the good version and the bad version is enormous, and it's the same truck in both. In the good year, you hold a rotation contract worth 6 figures on its own. Your storage yard runs near capacity, quietly earning money on cars that never move. Cash calls top up your best margin revenue. Your motor club work fills the dead hours without defining your business. The truck is paid down, the insurance is a known cost, and every impound that rolls onto your lot is money you barely have to work for. That's the operator who turns a hook and a yard into a genuine local cash machine, the kind of quiet, unglamorous business that makes millionaires nobody ever notices. In the bad year, a motor club rate cut squeezes the volume you depended on. Diesel spikes, and you have no way to pass it through. Your truck spends 3 weeks in the shop and your entire capacity goes to zero while every fixed cost keeps running. Your yard sits empty because you never built the impound side, and the rotation contract you needed went to the consolidated fleet across town. Same truck, same roads. A completely different business because the money in towing was never in the towing. Here's the thing to understand before you ever buy the truck. The people who get rich in this business aren't the ones who love tow trucks. They're the ones who understood, before they spent $1, that the truck was never the asset. The contract is the asset. The yard is the asset. The truck is just the thing that carries the real business from the side of the road to the place where it actually gets paid. The hook gets you the car. The lot gets you the money. And the operator who knows the difference is the only one still in business when the tow truck across town gets parked for the last time.